going on, my beautiful people? Welcome back to STR News and Digest, your go-to place for everything related to short-term rentals, travel, and the business of hospitality. And would you believe it? I just misplaced my notes. Oh my God, not a good start. Anyway, today we're going to talk a lot about some of the travel restrictions that we're starting to see throughout the world, Mexico, the Middle East, what's happening in the Middle East. And even if you're planning on going to Europe, I would caution you to be alert, but we're going to talk about that in a second. We're also going to talk about Dublin for me, and we're going to talk about Dublin. I'm going to give you about 6 or 7 unique places that you can, or unique things that you can do in Dublin. If you've never been there, I highly recommend you go there. I went there a couple of years ago. I really, really loved it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about spring break, right? Because spring break is right around the corner. And the U.S. Embassy has issued a lot of travel. Oh, I'm sorry. The State Department has issued a lot of travel advisory, and we're going to talk about those travel advisories and what to expect. We'll do a quick Q&A, and let me see if I have anything else on here. Oh, and we're going to talk about etiquette, dress codes, and a lot of new policy changes related to air travel. And that you really need to pay attention to, because you do not want to get caught off guard with some of the new rules that have been implemented by a lot of airlines. Because I'm telling you, I've already seen it. I've experienced it while traveling. And I've seen people get kicked off flights for stuff that in the past they were getting away with, but they're not going to be getting away with anymore. Let me see what else I have in store. All right. So just want to make sure I got everything here. Couple of things, some housekeeping notes. If you're watching, if you have any questions or comments, list them. Say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. If you have any questions, go ahead and list the questions down below. Spring break is here. If you're planning to come to South Florida, and I highly recommend that you come to South Florida, because international travel is going to be a little hectic for this spring break with all that's going on around the world. So here's what we're going to be doing to entice you to come, right? We're going to be giving a 20% discount for anybody that books a short-term rental with us between now and March 20th, I believe it's what the code is going to be open for. And the code is going to be spring break. So just no spaces, just put in spring break at checkout. Don't forget, visit our website, Dream Vacations and Rentals by PMI.com. The link is going to be down below, but check it out. And also, if you want us to give you a personalized itinerary, just send us an email and we'll work with you with that. Now, let's talk about spring break. And we're going to start off with some travel advisory into Mexico and obviously the Middle East, right? The U.S. Embassy issued warnings ahead of spring break, advising travelers to be cautious due to crime. We already know that Mexico, specifically the Tulum, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and on the West Coast, right? Most of the tourist spots on the West Coast of Mexico, the Pacific side, crime has been rampant lately, especially in some of the night spots. Recently there's been shootings, there's been murders. In fact, there was some jet skiers, some assassins used some jet skis to come onto one of the resorts in Playa del Carmen to kill a rival. I mean, that was insane in plain daylight. they did that. So just be cognizant, be cautious of that. The other thing that you guys got to really understand about Mexico, Mexico is full of scammers. Be very cautious when you're out and from getting scammed, right? And that includes the police people. Back in the day when I was actually on my other life, when I was actually working in my past life, and we used to work with our counterparts in Mexico, I can tell you that we've heard stories, and we actually seen like local cops target tourists, for example, especially drunk tourists. If they catch you drunk in public, be ready to pay. And worse yet, if they catch you, like for example, the one incident that I'm thinking about, there was a young kid on college spring break. He got caught peeing on the side of a building by two Mexican cops, and they took him for all he had. Every penny he had, they took from him, and rightfully so, right? What the heck are you doing peeing on the side of a building? But anyway, just be mindful of that. Be mindful of scams. And then the next thing is, if you go out there and you're going swimming, just remember that there's some very, very strong currents, not just there, but here in Florida, right? During this time of year, especially during the spring break time of the year, we have a lot of rip currents. You got to be very careful with that. So that's that. Now, the same thing applies, obviously, to the Middle East. Stay away from the Middle East altogether. The State Department has issued a hunker down warning for all U.S. personnel or U.S. People that are in the Middle East right now, because most of them can't fly out because many of the airports have shut down as a result of what's happening in Iran. But I'm going to include Europe, right? There's a lot of unrest right now, and you don't want to be in Europe or anywhere in the Middle East, and I'm going to include Australia in there because there's a large Muslim population in Australia. Don't go out there bragging that you are or flaunting that U.S. passport, because you will be a target. Okay, and right now is the time to be low key if you're going international, and don't make a scene, because there will be some incidents, and I believe that's going to be the case going forward until this situation over in Iran gets settled, right? One more thing about Mexico, and this doesn't only apply to Mexico, but there's places like the DR and some places in the Caribbean. There's a lot of counterfeit alcohol, and a lot of alcohol that's not that's poisonous, right? I'm sure some of you guys may remember a couple of years back in DR, a bunch of tourists were dying because they were drinking out of the liquor bar in their hotel rooms, because a lot of that liquor was counterfeit, a lot of that liquor was tainted, and as a result, people died, right? So just be very careful with that. Now, let's talk about etiquette while traveling, right? There's been a big push by airlines to bring back dress codes, right? In fact, there was it was a rumor, because it wasn't really true yet, but it came as a result of some meetings that took place in the airline industry, and there was on social media, somebody spread the fact that pajamas were banned on airports. They're not banned yet, but they're getting very close to being banned, because it's out of control, people. I don't understand this fad of people traveling in pajamas. Come on. I used to complain years back, and I'm showing my age here. I used to complain when I saw people going to dinner or flying, especially men, with flip-flops. Oh my God, that used to annoy the crap out of me, right? Men should not be wearing flip-flops flip-flops out in public. But I digress for a second. Going back to the pajamas. It's a fad. I don't know why, but you travel now and you see tons of people in pajamas. Anyways, just be aware that that is about to come to an end. But right now, what definitely has come to an end, and 5 airlines, United, Spirit, JetBlue, American, Southwest, all have implemented the following rules, right? And it's up to the staff to decide, to be the judge and jury here. So it's not, don't go in there and saying, well, I have a right to do X, Y, and Z, because you do not on a plane, right? Number one is being disruptive. This is a big one because I've seen people get kicked off for very little things, like minute things. And in one case that I witnessed, I really think the flight attendant caused the issue. And what happened in this particular case was it was during the boarding process, and one of the gate attendant, one of the gate attendant told the person to stand in a specific area, but a second gate attendant then told him to told the guy to move. So he moved back to his original spot, and that first gate attendant went off on this guy and kicked him off the flight because the guy argued with him and said, hey, I was just doing what I was told. Anyway, that it's getting bad, people. And for the most part, you guys need to understand that for whatever reason, not everybody, there's a lot of people today that they feel like they're entitled, right? They feel like they can do and say what they want. And not so. And for a while, they were getting away with it. I mean, I saw some crazy things happen on airports. People get upset because the flight's delayed. Man, it's not the gate attendant's fault. It's not the flight attendant's fault that your flight is delayed. So don't take out your frustrations on them. Yet I saw that on a regular basis. Well, that's come to an end. There's been hard rules now in place. Same thing with music, video. You must wear headphones. And again, failure to do so it's going to subject you to being kicked out. Airlines they're fed up. They're fed up with the misbehavior of people. And again, especially drunk people, don't get drunk and messed up and go on a flight, because that's the easiest way to get kicked out. Now, those were all the negatives. Now let me talk a little bit about some of the positive. I want to give you some unique experiences in Dublin. Again, I went to Dublin a couple of years back. I fell in love with the place. It's beautiful. There's if you like, what's that real pop? Game of Thrones, right? If you like that type of scenery, you're gonna love Dublin. Ireland in general, Scotland's another place that's really similar and like really, really cool. But one of the things I recommend, and let me see if I can find my list here. That's the State Department. Okay, so here's a couple of things that I recommend you do. Number one is they have a bunch of historical walking tours. I recommend you take the walking tour. Now, if you're a person that can't walk more than 400 feet, then don't take this tour. But for the most part, one of the reasons why I recommend the walking tour is because you get to see stuff firsthand, right? They do offer this tour on the segways and even on bikes, but I recommend that you do the walking tour. I found that the walking tour was better. You get to experience it a little bit better when you do that, and it's on the one I'm talking about starts on Georgian Street, and then you go from there. The next is there's a bunch of pub hopping tours. If I'm not an alcohol drinker, definitely not a beer drinker, can't stand beer. But this tour, I took it, not that I took it for the beer, I took it for the history of the pubs in Dublin. You'll be surprised of how interesting these tours are. It's also, a lot of them include a culinary tour with the pub tour. They combine them. Phenomenal. Really, really recommend that. You get traditional Irish food, which, like I said, you're going to really like it. Now, if you're one of those people that like the dark side, right? They have a Dublin ghost history tour. I found this to be a little interesting, a little entertaining. I'm not into ghosts and all that, but it was interesting. It was fun. Highly recommend you do that. And then the last thing I recommend for you to do is they have a lot of pubs that have live music or music tours, right? So you can either do the food and pub tour. Some of them will have live music, but a lot will not. But you can ask for a specific pub tour with live music. Man, it's a home run, right? It's a great way to spend an evening. But again, if you like alcohol, I caution you because, man, I've seen some people finish these tours and they were, really, really wasted, right? All right, my beautiful people, that's all for today's STR News and Digest. Let me see if we have any questions here. Andres, hi. Valentina, Berushka. Do you think these new airline rules will become international standards or will they remain the U.S. base? What I'm talking about is for U.S. Domestic travel, but if you travel international, these rules have always been in place. There's most places internationally do not mess around. For some reason, we have in the U.S. Airlines were just, or gate attendants and flight attendants were, I don't know if they were told to just ignore it and accept and be a punching bag. For a long time, though, man, I saw some of these flight attendants get abused, but no longer. They're fighting back. Trust me. I think they went from one extreme to the next, and now they're super, super strict. So, next question: since you travel a lot, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen someone do at an airport or on a plane? Oh my God, the list is endless. The craziest thing I saw was an all-out brawl, like a big battle royale, and this was in the Fort Lauderdale airport, and actually made the news. That was one crazy thing I saw in the Bogota airport. I saw two or a couple. I'm not going to say they were having sex, but because they had a blanket over them, but they're in the middle of the freaking at a corner of one of the lounges, and it looked like they were having sex. And I definitely saw this. I saw the same thing happen on a red-eye flight from California to Fort Lauderdale. In the back of the plane, there were two couples definitely getting it on. So those are the craziest things I've seen. Craziest thing I experienced, though, happened to me twice. I had an emergency landing in Jamaica one time because the plane lost all power. We were coming down fast, and we had to do an emergency landing in Jamaica. And this is during COVID, and I got stuck in Jamaica because the airport was closed at the time. They couldn't let us out. It was insane. Spent I think it was a total of 20-something hours in a terminal with no bathrooms, no food. It was just crazy. That was one. And then another time on JetBlue as well, flying from here to LaGuardia. We're flying the plane, lightning hits the plane, and we dropped, I don't know how many feet. Pitch black. When the lights came on, there was flight attendants injured. some passengers injured, and again, we had to make an emergency landing. So those are the craziest things that happened to me on these flights. Anything else? All right. Don't see no more questions. Again, guys, thank you for watching. If you're seeing this on replay, list your questions. We'll try to answer them during next week's STR News and Digest. If there's something that you want me to talk about, go ahead and list that as well. Anyway, guys, love you guys. See you on the next one.
Hi there. I'm just your average traveler who stumbled upon something extraordinary. Let me tell you about Fernando David. Once a Marine, Fernando traded his uniform for a set of house keys, starting with just one rental property. But Fernando had a dream: to revolutionize how we travel and own property. He founded Dream Vacations by PMI, turning one small rental into a hospitality empire. Fernando's secret? Treating every guest like family and every home like his own. His team mastered digital storytelling, making every trip feel like a blockbuster adventure. Fernando didn't just help travelers, he transformed overwhelmed hosts into thriving business owners. His travel agency bundled beautiful stays with affordable flights, making Dream Vacations a reality for thousands. Whether you're chasing sunsets or returns on investment, with Fernando, you've struck gold. Fernando David isn't just building a business. He's building dreams, one happy traveler at a time.